Okay, so this spot's pretty sweet. Look at it this way. This might be one of those old wagon roads. A lot of times, these gullied roads like this. Check this bad boy out. When they're scalloped on the sides like this, a lot of the time these are really old roads. Like Chisholm Trail type road or something like that, but I don't know that that's the case for this one or not. But this is very cool. And these cross trees, I think this is the first time I've ever seen this. Not shabby. Check this out. This is going to be a great ride. Y'all are going to have a friggin' blast. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Spinistry Chat. We're pretty darned excited about this one. We're kicking off a club ride that's pretty independent for the participants, for the riders. To be perfectly frank, I am having a little procedure done this week that we've been putting off for quite a bit. Going to finally get it done, and hopefully that helps me get back on the bicycle. If we can assist with the ride this weekend, we're going to be more than happy to. I just can't guarantee that I'll be able to make it. It just depends what the recovery is looking like. If you had a chance to glance at the preview just before we started this, I think that gave you a nice little teaser taste of what you might be in store for. I am your host of adventures, Kevin Lee with the Spinistry. And we're talking, of course, about the February Club Spinistry ride out of St. Joe. This is really hitting close to home, to be honest with you. This is the area where all of our Spinistry stuff first started. A lot of what we're sending these routes on are the roads that we literally looked at for our first scouting trips way back in 2009 to lead up to our Red River Riot. Now, the reality is we didn't end up using these roads south of 82 out of St. Joe. For different reasons, we used the ones north of St. Joe. But these roads are very near and dear to my heart. This is some of the best riding anywhere. We're not talking just North Texas. This is some of the best riding anywhere. We have included them with some really long rides of ours. Parts of it are parts of the Rat. And man, I went out and verified the routes today, and I was just completely stoked. And we've had some other things over the years, wet years with flooded roads and some bridges washed out that took some time to repair. And man, this was the first time I've been out there in a while and put these routes together this way. And this is some really, really good riding. If you have an opportunity to join us this weekend, I guarantee you want to be there. You want to check out these routes. Matter of fact, I'm giving a money back guarantee. If you don't absolutely love your ride this week, I'll refund your entry fee. How about that? Heck of a deal. So, what we're doing, we're starting from the St. Joe Town Square. I've actually, after the verification from today, I've actually added a little bit longer route, a 72 miler, and this thing is, I don't use the E word, so I'm not going to say epic, but this thing is an amazing route. But it says 72 miles. It's going to feel like 100. It's going to be a tough route. So if somebody's wanting a long ride this weekend, this is the one to do. If you're not sure you can handle a long ride with a lot of climbing, this isn't the one you want to do. This one's gonna take a special somebody to pull it off. And to be honest with you, the 63 miler itself, that's a plenty tough ride, even though that's 100K. If you're not sure you can do 100K, you probably want to do the 50 miler. if you're really confident in your 100K skills, but you want to work on your climbing, this is a fantastic one to do. There's a lot of up and down in this. And when I say there's a lot of up, there is a lot of up. And when I say there's a lot of down, oh my gosh, for all of the different distances, this thing's like a roller coaster. You guys are going to have some long, sustained, screaming downhills that are just going to have the corners of your lips wrapped around the backs of your ears. You're going to be grinning so big. The 50 miler, again, that's going to, most people that want to do 100K may want to look at doing the 50 miler. I want to talk about that one. It's a little bit of the oddball in the mix. The others all really blend well together. The 35 miler, this is a fantastic route. The one thing on the 35 miler, all the other distances do go by convenience stores. The 35 miler does not go by a town or a convenience store. So if you do that one, you need to be able to carry everything with you to do the full distance. And again, it'll be, as 35 milers go, it's going to be a tough one. It's probably going to feel more like a 40 or 45 mile ride. So if you're able to go solo and on your own and carry everything you need for 40 or 45 miles, you'll be good with this one. For all of them, if you feel like you're biting off a little bit more than you can chew, just back the pace off a little bit. You got all day, grind it out, wait till you get to one of them screaming downhills and just enjoy the show at that point. But here's all the routes combined. Again, the big loop is the 72 miler. We're going to start there, and I'll show everybody has the same staging area. And again, this is a self-navigated, self-supported ride. We're not going to have Spinistry arrows. We're not going to have an official start time. We'll probably start sending some messages out Thursday and Friday and posting on Facebook and things like that, and let people start coordinating some times that they want to maybe go off in groups or something like that. But rally up your friends, get together, ride from the St. Joe Town Square together. We're going to look at the 72 miler a little bit closer, but I'm going to zoom in on the staging area, and realistically, the start and the end are the same for everyone. Let's go to the satellite view here. So we're staging from the St. Joe Town Square. And there's a big town square here, plenty of parking, a little city park in the middle. There's a Dairy Queen in town, serves breakfast there. So if you want to catch a breakfast beforehand, I will give a heads up. Last time I was in there, they did still allow smoking in there, but the biscuits and gravy there are worth a little bit of smoke. That may have changed by now. It's been a couple years. There's a couple of stores in town, and there is the Red River Station barbecue joint that is open on Saturday if you want to stop and get some food after you finish your ride. Here's what's really cool. So everybody starts the same way. Just kind of head out from the town square, cross 82, and the reality is, yeah, we're not even a quarter mile into this and you're already on a dirt road. So this thing starts out and finishes on a dirt road. You're from the middle of a town. That's tough to beat that, right? Again, we're just going to go over the generalities of the 72 miler, and this is going to and I'll talk about where it changes from the others, but the way this starts, all of the routes start the same way. And it's a fairly sedate start. About 2 miles in, you have a little bit of farm to market road, but at 4 miles, that's when the roller coasters start. And the reality is, I want to say it's almost 10 miles of downhill, it seemed like. And there was some really fast, flowy, twisty, sustained downhill. Yes, I'm sure there's some uphills in the mix too. But, well, let's look at, yeah, here's your elevation profile right here. See, here's the top of the hill at 4.5 miles in, you're at the top of the hill. And basically you keep going downhill 10 miles. Yeah, there's some ups in the middle of it, but you basically have 10 miles of downhill, a little bit more of an uphill. And of course, you're going to have to finish with an uphill as well, because if you go down to begin with, you're going to have to finish going up, but it's spaced out. See, the downhill is a lot steeper and bigger than the uphill is towards the end. So plenty of time to chew up that climb back to St. Joe a little bit at a time. Originally, at about mile 12 here, we were going to go to the north and cross 82, and that's the way the rat route goes, but played around with the routes today. And right here at about mile 14, where it takes a turn to the west here at Coons Ranch, the short route, the 35 miler, will turn south there. Everything else, actually, I think the 50 miler does too. It does as well. And we'll go over those details. Again, that 50 miler is a little funky. I'd really rather people do the 63 and the 35, one or the other. But if one's too short for you and the other's too long, you just got to do the 50. It's still going to be a fun route. It just has a couple pieces all of its own that's not quite as shared as the others do. So it winds back to Nocona for the 72 miler. So at about mile 21, you hit the town of Nocona. There are plenty of amenities, plenty of stores, restaurants, everything else. And the 72 miler, again, at about mile 51. On the way into Montague, you actually have to hang a left on the Farm to Market Road and take a little detour to catch it's the only thing I could find in town. It's the only store or anything. It's a nice store. We've used it in the past. But you have to swing a little bit south and then loop back into town. And a little bit of Farm to Market Road here. And then you're just winding through all the fantastic roller coasterness again. Essentially, at about this mile 56, it's shared with even the short route again, and everything finishes basically the same from this mile 58 on. Again, the 50 miler is an outlier. It's got a unique little center section of its own that we'll go over. But from mile 58 on, we start going into our Die Mound and Die Church area, and this stretch here between Montague and St. Joe, this is literally where we did our very first scouting for Red River Riot, for Spinistry whatevers, way back in the day, back in 2009, Mr. Clean and myself out and about checking this out. This is just fantastic riding, and it's in the best shape I've ever seen it. A lot of these roads in the old day used to just be the red clay roads that could get really badly rutted up, hold water, get nasty. Almost everything today. There were a couple of red clay roads, but almost everything today was gravel. Most of the gravel was very fast and smooth. Some marbly light chunk stuff, but no big gravel, anything that I came across today. Let's go over the 63 mile route. So it mirrors the 72, except for the corner that goes up to Nocona and to the west. Takes a little shortcut here and joins back in with that 72 mile route. So the 63 mile, the only stop for it is at about mile 42 at that same convenience store out of Montague, and then it just finishes exactly the same way as the 72 does. Here's the 50 miler. So here you can see where it's a little bit funky. This turn here, again, mile 14, 15, 14 and a half. The 35 and the 50 milers will take this turn here. And I have the 50 milers doing this little loop back here, basically to get the 50 miles and to catch this store. If you're doing the 50 miler, you're probably going to need to reload at least some water, maybe get a nice snack along the way. So we wanted to mix the store in here. And instead of having it doubling back on itself, we're having it catch a little bit of this Catholic Cemetery Road, which the others aren't. But about here, about mile 37, this is where the others come in. And from mile 37 on, basically mile 19 to 19, the 50 is the same as the 35 miler. And then from mile 37 on, it's basically the same as all of the other routes into St. Joe. And then the 35 miler, again, the 35 miler has no amenities. There's no store or anything like that. If you're doing the 35 miler, you need to bring everything with you. But it does that same turn to the south at about mile 14 and a half. And this is a really fantastic road. I tried to figure out a way to get the longer routes to be able to use this one as well. In order to pull that off, there was just too much doubling back on the course, which we didn't want to do since it's self-navigated. I know Garmin's sometimes have fits when routes double back on themselves, so we tried to loop everything as much as possible, except for going down to that store and back. But the 35 mile, this is a fantastic route. It really is. If somebody just wants to go out and get in a quick, good ride, this is just a top-notch route. To be perfectly honest with you, the two best are the 35, the short route, and the 72 route. The 72 mile is just, it's amazing. Again, this is self-navigated. The routes will be on the sign-up page for registered riders starting Wednesday. I'm uploading this video tonight. We'll get the routes onto the sign-up page. If you're registered for the event, you just go back to the sign-up page, scroll down, you see route access here or some link like that. It'll give you the routes. If you haven't signed up yet, again, this is free for Club Spinistry members. If you haven't signed up yet, go ahead and sign up. And once you're signed up, you just go to that club page, get the routes, and they will also be in the Club Spinistry DFW routes library starting tomorrow as well. So I'll get all of that updated, having my procedure tomorrow. Knock on wood, everything goes well with that. Hoping that we can join you out on course and maybe hand off a water bottle here and there, take some pictures. Fingers crossed for that. But if y'all want to get a good ride in, this is what you want to do. Let me get back to work on this. I got to be at the hospital 5:15 tomorrow morning. So we're going to go knock it out, and we'll see y'all later.